over on the southwest corner of Big Green Lake, standing in front of the County K Marsh, which is another estuary type system that discharges to Green Lake. It has 3 tributaries that feed it: Wirches, Roy, and Spring Creek. The County K Marsh is a turbid system, as we call it. It's an algal or algae-dominated system. There aren't any rooted submerged plants here. There's a few on the margins. There's emergent plants, and then there's some floating leaf plants such as lily pads. When you have a lot of phosphorus in a system, you either have rooted plants use it or you have algae use it. In this case, the algae is predominantly using it. So that's why we have the water quality issues here that we do. We're not getting enough light reaching the lake bed bottom for plants to survive. The water clarity is typically no better than 4 to 6 inches in this system with all the algae and suspended sediment that's out there. You see the green paint-like algae on the surface. You can see the suspended algae is various species, but that green paint-like material here is a blue-green algae. It can cause a serious rash, it can cause intestinal issues. In dogs that ingest the water, it can kill them outright. We don't know exactly what the levels are of microcystins, which is the toxin right now, but I would not be swimming or wading in this water. The phosphorus levels in here are very high. We've measured them, the DNR has taken samples, and they were hundreds of times over standard. Agriculture is a source of phosphorus for this system. Also, a significant source for this system is all the phosphorus that's already here. It's called internal loading. This system is really no deeper than 4 feet anywhere, and since it has no submergent plants out there, wind energy and carp disrupt the lake bed bottom of the County K Marsh and keep the lake bed sediment in the water column. And that perpetuates this turbid state where the water clarity is bad, and also contributes to the high phosphorus levels that are here. So if you think about it like your lawn, if you had a slight slope on your lawn and you killed all the grass and it rained, you'd have erosion in your lawn. Here it's similar, that there's nothing holding that lake bed sediment in place. So if we could flip this back where there was a lot of submergent plants in here, we'd have to manage them so people could recreate, but it would greatly help the water quality of this system. It would clear up the water. This water is really high in phosphorus, is discharging to Green Lake right as we speak. So we want the water in the K Marsh to be clear and filtered and clean like we see here for Green Lake. We've calculated through the lake management plan and through research that if we were able to flip the County K Marsh back to a plant-dominated state versus an algal-dominated state, we'd probably most likely reduce the phosphorus, total phosphorus input to Green Lake by 8 to 10%. You know, when you do a best management practice in a watershed, you might be decreasing the load by, 0.1% or something. So actually to get up in the 5 to 10% range on any one action is big, it's huge. So if we can do this one action, get plants back in the County K Marsh, we could reduce the total phosphorus load to the lake 8%. It's very, very, very significant. The first part of the plan for the K Marsh was to get rid of the carp. Carp are bottom feeding organisms, and they eat just about anything they can get to, and they're known to create a lot of turbidity in a system like this, in a shallow system like this, and eat any submergent plants that start to get established, constantly keeping all that sediment in the water column versus settled out on the bottom. By removing adult carp, it's hoped that this system will flip back to a plant-dominated state on its own. We've done that via the carp barrier, and we've also had commercial netters come in here twice and remove somewhere around 150,000 pounds of carp out of here. Plus, we do open up the carp gate in the winter because it's been shown that carp will leave a system like this in the winter when the water gets way colder in a shallow, small system like this than it would in the lake. So it's thought that they'll leave in the winter, and then when you close the carp gate early in the spring, the larger adult fish can't get back in. If that doesn't happen, we're going to have to try to go for grants to buy rhizomes or root structures for submerged plants and reintroduce plants ourselves here. It's also been discussed that we'd use a rotenone treatment here, which would kill all the fish in the system just in the K Marsh alone. We could stop any of that chemical from reaching Big Green, and then trying to plant plants at that time as well. That's a last resort option, but it is somewhat of a limited fishery here from what we've seen, so it is an option though. We've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars this year alone doing work on Roy Creek, put the carp gate in. We have a commercial netter that's coming out here and removing hundreds of thousands of pounds of carp. So we're hoping that alone will be enough to flip the County K Marsh back to a plant-dominated state, submersed plant-dominated state. If it doesn't work, then we have to try something else.